The sky has always been whole, endless, and serene. Every star shone like a guardian of time. Every cloud moved like a gentle thought across the heavens. The world below trusted the dome of eternity above. Zeus, ruler of Olympus, carried the weight of this sky. He was not only a god of thunder, but a keeper of balance. His throne was not just stone and gold, but a seat of watchful care. He listened to winds, to rivers, to the quiet songs of mortals. He believed the heavens could never falter, never break. But eternity does not stand still. Even skies may tremble. One night, silence stretched across Olympus like a veil. The stars flickered with an unease no mortal eye could see. A faint crack shimmered in the firmament, delicate, yet strange. It was not loud, not fierce, but it carried a warning. The heavens, once seamless, now carried a hidden wound. Zeus felt the shift in his heart before he saw it in the sky. It was a riddle of light, a puzzle without an enemy. The shattered heavens had begun to whisper their story. And so, our tale opens in the quiet before the storm. A storm not of rage, but of questions and discovery. The sky stretched above, like a perfect canvas, endless and calm. Each star was a note in a song too, ancient for mortals to know. The moon drifted like a lantern, guiding the quiet breath of night. Clouds floated as if they were memories, soft and unhurried. This was the world under Zeus, lord of Olympus, guardian of the sky. To the gods he was strength, but also patience and order. To mortals he was thunder and lightning, but also promise and care. The heavens under his watch seemed unbreakable, flawless in their design. Every dawn rose with certainty. Every dusk fell with grace. The seasons marched forward, as if conducted by an unseen hand. Rivers followed their courses. Mountains held their silence. Forests grew in time. The sea sang in rhythm with the pulse of the stars. Zeus believed this harmony was eternal, woven beyond decay. For ages, nothing disturbed the vast dome of the sky. Even the oldest gods thought the heavens could never falter. It was the stage upon which myths lived and futures were written. Olympus glowed with the laughter of divine voices in the night. Golden halls reflected starlight, carrying warmth into endless space. Zeus stood upon his throne, gazing into infinity with calm eyes. His hand rested on his scepter, not as a weapon, but as a guide. Thunderclouds moved when he willed, yet he kept them at peace. His power was vast, yet his purpose was balance, not fury. He felt the heartbeat of the sky, as if it were his own. Each flicker of starlight spoke to him in quiet whispers. The constellations formed stories that only he could fully read. The heavens were like a scroll, endless and illuminated. He carried both pride and responsibility with equal measure. But pride can cast long shadows in places unseen. Zeus, in his certainty, began to forget the fragility of harmony. Perfection felt so complete that he no longer doubted its strength. Mortals prayed, gods rejoiced, and time flowed in calm rivers. The air was clear, the nights gentle, the days steady. It seemed nothing could change, nothing could bend or fracture. Yet harmony is not stillness. It is a song that must be tended, and even the greatest songs may slip when no ear listens. In the stillness of eternity, small cracks are born in silence. Zeus often wandered Olympus at night, searching for meaning in stars. He saw patterns no mortal eye could trace, pathways of hidden light. He whispered to the winds, asking them to tell him of the earth. The winds answered with laughter, carrying tales of mortal lives. Farmers harvesting, children playing, lovers watching the same stars. These stories comforted Zeus, convincing him all was well. But the heavens above carried more than mortal songs. They carried memory, tension, and the weight of divine choices. And memory, unspoken, can press against eternity until it strains. Still, the sky seemed perfect, untouched by sorrow or time. Zeus felt secure, believing the heavens were beyond weakness. Olympus glittered, and the gods believed in endless peace. Yet, in the silence between stars, something waited. A quiet breath, a subtle pause, an unseen shift. The perfection of the sky was not eternal, only fragile. It shimmered as if woven from glass instead of stone. Zeus, in his watchfulness, had not yet seen the truth. The heavens above were whole, but not unbreakable. And so, the stage was set for the first tremor of change. A change that would test not the strength of thunder, but the depth of harmony. For even the mightiest must face the song of the fragile sky. One night, the heavens shifted with a silence no ear could name. The stars trembled faintly, as if touched by an unseen hand. The moon paused in its journey, caught in a still breath of time. A silver crack shimmered across the dome of the sky. It was small, delicate, and yet it carried an ancient weight. Not a wound of force, but a question etched in light. Zeus stood upon Olympus, watching the sky with steady eyes. He felt the change before he truly saw it unfold. The air grew hushed, as though the world waited for an answer. Mountains leaned in silence. Forests held their song in pause. Even the sea stilled, listening to something beyond its depth. Zeus reached with his heart, not his thunder, to understand. The crack glowed faintly, whispering of distance and memory. It was not destruction, but a fracture born of silence. The heavens themselves seemed to sigh with an unspoken truth. Zeus knew the stars were keepers of harmony, not decoration. Each one carried a voice, a note within a cosmic song. Now, some voices had faltered, some notes had gone astray. The crack was a reflection of dissonance, not of war. Zeus felt the sky call to him, not with fear, but with need. He whispered a prayer, not to the gods, but to the stars. His words drifted upward, carried on winds that trembled with awe. Tell me what you seek, O heavens, that I guard. The crack pulsed faintly, as if listening to his plea. But no voice came, only the sound of quiet light. The silence stretched, heavy yet strangely alive, with mystery. Zeus remembered the first dawn he ever raised. The heavens had sung in perfect chorus on that day. Mortals had lifted their eyes in wonder at the brilliance. Now the brilliance carried an echo, soft and broken. Was it neglect? Was it change? Or was it destiny? Zeus could not yet tell, but he would not look away. The gods stirred in their halls, uneasy in their golden peace. Athena gazed at the stars with thoughtful eyes. Apollo held his lyre, yet felt no melody to play. Hera walked the marble courts in silence, seeking comfort. Whispers spread through Olympus like soft, uncertain winds. But Zeus did not thunder. He did not strike in fury. Instead, he stood still, letting the heavens speak first. The crack widened slightly, revealing threads of hidden light. They sparkled not with chaos, but with unfinished songs. It was as if the sky itself had forgotten part of its music. And when music is forgotten, silence begins to break the world. Zeus placed his hand upon the stone of Olympus. He listened to the mountain's slow and patient breath. He felt the heartbeat of the earth beneath his feet. It told him the fracture was real, but not yet final. A choice lingered in the air, waiting to be claimed. The heavens could fall into silence, or rise with new harmony. Zeus closed his eyes, remembering the laughter of mortals. Children under starlight, lovers by rivers, farmers at dawn. All of them lived under this same fragile dome. He could not allow fear to rule their nights. He would not allow the sky to shatter unseen. The crack gleamed softly, neither hostile nor kind. It was a mirror, asking Zeus to see beyond strength. And so the first fracture of the heavens became a promise that even the eternal must learn to listen. For the sky had spoken, not with thunder, but with silence. And Zeus, ruler of Olympus, vowed he would hear it. The winds began to stir with whispers no mortal could hear. They traveled from mountain peaks to deep valleys with unseen voices. Each gust carried fragments of secrets, broken yet urgent. They said the sky was breaking and the heavens were unwell. Mortals felt it in dreams, waking with unease in their hearts. Children cried in their sleep, though no storm had arrived. Farmers paused their plows, staring upward at trembling skies. Sailors on distant seas found the winds shifting strangely. Birds flew in restless circles, as if chasing lost songs. The whispers spread not in shouts, but in echoes. They reached temples where priests lifted their heads in fear. They reached poets, who found their words faltering at night. They reached lovers beneath starlight, who felt shadows in their joy. Every corner of the earth carried the rumor of fracture. The gods, too, heard the whispers in the silence of Olympus. They gathered in marble halls, their voices low with concern. Athena spoke of knowledge, urging patience and clear thought. Apollo plucked his lyre, yet found no harmony in strings. Hera watched the sky with eyes both stern and heavy. Even gentle Demeter felt the earth grow uneasy beneath her feet. But none could interpret the message fully. None could see its heart. Only Zeus felt the depth of the wind's murmurs. He stood alone at the peak of Olympus, eyes lifted upward. The winds curled around him, carrying threads of celestial speech. It was not warning, nor was it prophecy. It was grief. The heavens mourned in silence, asking for remembrance. Zeus closed his eyes, letting the whispers sink into him. He felt them wrap around his thoughts like fragile threads of song. The winds told of forgotten promises, of voices not heard. They spoke of harmony stretched too thin by neglect. They spoke of silence, where once songs had flowed freely. The ruler of Olympus listened, not as a king, but as a guardian. He knew thunder could not mend what had begun to unravel. The winds carried sorrow, not defiance. The sky was not at war. It was in pain, and pain, unspoken, becomes fracture until someone learns to hear. Zeus breathed deeply, his heart heavy yet unyielding. He thought of mortals who would raise their eyes to heaven. He thought of children who looked for stars to guide them. He thought of sailors who trusted winds to carry them home. All depended on a sky that now whispered of breaking. He could not ignore the message, nor could he silence it. Instead, he vowed to follow the voice wherever it led. The winds, as if listening, shifted around him with a sigh. They carried the promise farther, spreading it across the earth. Mortals began to speak of it in stories by firelight. Some said the heavens were tired, weary from holding eternity. Others said the gods had quarreled, leaving scars above. Still others believed it was destiny, a change long foretold. Every tale carried truth, though none carried all of it. The winds did not correct them. They only moved onward. They swirled through forests, over rivers, and across seas. Everywhere they went, hearts turned upward with question. And in those questions, silence became a living voice. Zeus felt the weight of every whisper, as if it were his own. The sky was speaking not to frighten, but to remind. Harmony was not eternal unless it was cherished daily. Balance was not fixed unless it was renewed with care. The winds carried this truth in fragments of sound and sigh. Zeus placed his hand upon his chest, where thunder once rested. But this was not the time for thunder. It was the time to listen. The whispers grew softer, fading into the night beyond stars. Yet their message lingered, etched into the heart of Olympus. The heavens were fragile, not broken, but asking to be heard. Zeus opened his eyes, filled with both worry and resolve. The winds had spoken, and the burden now rested with him. For the first time, the ruler of the sky felt the sky itself speak. Zeus withdrew from the marble halls, leaving the council in silence. He climbed higher into the stillness of Olympus, alone with thought. The winds had spoken, the stars had trembled, yet answers hid away. For the first time in ages, Zeus did not trust thunder to guide him. He sought not power, but reflection, a turning inward to question. The night stretched around him, vast and infinite, a mirror of thought. He stood at the edge of the cliff, looking into the trembling sky. The crack above still glimmered faintly, delicate and unresolved. Its light was neither threat nor gift, but an invitation to wonder. Zeus asked himself if he had listened too little for too long. He recalled promises made to mortals at the dawn of their lives. He recalled oaths whispered among gods, sworn beneath starlight. Had those vows weakened with time, fading like mist at sunrise? Balance demanded more than thunder, more than strength of will. It demanded listening, patience, and a heart open to harmony. Zeus let his thoughts wander back to his earliest days, when Olympus was young and the heavens sang with fresh light. Back then, every note of the cosmos felt alive and near. Now, Silence echoed where music once filled the void. He felt the weight of forgotten care pressing against the present. Perhaps the heavens cracked because the gods had grown still. Perhaps silence grew because pride had taken the place of song. The ruler of Olympus bowed his head, not in defeat, but in humility. Even the strongest must bend to see what lies beneath the surface. The winds carried no answers, only reminders of questions. The stars twinkled faintly, as if waiting for him to decide. Zeus placed his hand upon the cold stone at his side. He felt its patience, steady and unbroken, unlike the trembling sky. The earth did not rush. The mountains did not demand. They simply endured. And in that endurance they taught. He realized that harmony could not be forced, only nurtured. A song is not commanded. It is invited to rise. He thought of Apollo's silent lyre and the missing melody. He thought of Athena's quiet counsel, urging patience and thought. He thought of Hera's heavy gaze, carrying care unspoken. Each god held a part of the answer, yet none alone complete. The heavens cracked because unity had thinned among them. Zeus breathed deeply, the cool air filling him with calm resolve. He did not yet know the path, but he knew the beginning. He must listen with more than ears, with more than thunder. He must listen with heart, with memory, with humility. The crack shimmered again, faint but steady, as if acknowledging him. It was not an enemy to be defeated, but a message to be received. Zeus whispered softly to the heavens, words only the stars could hear. I will listen. I will not turn away. I will seek the harmony again. The winds stirred gently, carrying his vow across Olympus. It moved through temples, through forests, through seas at rest. Mortals felt a strange comfort in their dreams that night. They awoke not with fear, but with a quiet sense of hope. The gods, too, felt the air lighten, though none knew why. Only Zeus understood the promise he had spoken to the sky. The silence of the heavens was not emptiness, but waiting. Waiting for voices to return, for unity to be remembered. Zeus stood taller, though still alone upon the cliff of Olympus. He did not yet have answers, but he held the courage to seek. And seeking, he knew, was the first step toward restoration. The shattered heavens had revealed their wound, but also a path not of conquest, but of remembrance and renewal. And Zeus, ruler of Olympus, had taken his first step upon it. The halls of Olympus glowed with torchlight as the gods gathered. Zeus summoned them, not with thunder, but with solemn invitation. Each god arrived with eyes heavy, carrying silence like a cloak. They sensed the sky above had shifted, though none named its cause. The marble floor gleamed, reflecting starlight through open arches. It felt as though the heavens themselves leaned in to listen. Athena was first to speak, her voice clear and steady. The fracture is not a wound of war, but of wisdom forgotten. She urged patience, study, and the careful gathering of truth. Apollo touched his lyre, the strings vibrating with unease. No melody flows, he confessed. The harmony of the sky has dimmed. He believed only music, unity of sound, could heal the crack. Hera stood tall, her gaze both stern and sorrowful. Promises have been neglected, she said, and vows left unanswered. Her words echoed with the weight of trust and broken duty. Demeter placed her hand on the floor, listening to the earth. The fields grow restless. The soil carries unease, she whispered. She saw the heavens mirrored in the trembling of mortal ground. Poseidon's trident tapped the floor, sharp but restrained. The seas hear the silence of the stars, he declared. Even oceans that roared with storms now carried hollow quiet. Artemis lifted her bow, though no arrow was drawn. The hunt grows strange beneath the fractured night, she admitted. She spoke of beasts wandering without rhythm, lost under the sky. Ares, restless, clenched his fists, but found no enemy to strike. This is no war I can fight, he muttered with frustration. The council fell into quiet, their voices tangled in questions. Each spoke of fragments, yet none held the full design. They turned to Zeus, their ruler, their guardian of balance. He did not rise in fury, nor strike the air with thunder. Instead, he stood with calm resolve, eyes fixed on the stars. The heavens mirror us, Zeus began. his voice deep and even. When we forget harmony, the sky reflects our neglect. He spoke of unity as the song that bound all creation. Without it, even the eternal would tremble. Even the sky would crack. His words settled upon the hall like steady falling rain. The gods listened, their pride softened by his humility. Zeus did not accuse, nor did he command in anger. He invited them to see the heavens not as property, but as kin. The sky is not ours to rule, but ours to tend, he said. The torchlight flickered, as if agreeing with his words. Apollo lowered his lyre, but hope lit his golden eyes. Athena bowed her head slightly, acknowledging truth in his tone. Hera crossed her arms, yet her silence carried quiet assent. Demeter closed her eyes, breathing the calm of his vow. Even Ares, restless, stilled in the weight of the moment. The council felt the crack not as a threat, but as a mirror. It showed them their dissonance, their scattered voices. And in that reflection, they saw the need for renewal. Zeus lifted his hand, pointing toward the faint light above. The fracture is not the end, but a beginning, he declared. It is the call for us to remember, to weave harmony again. The words carried through the hall, into the hearts of all present. They left the council not with answers, but with resolve. The gods dispersed, carrying thoughts heavy yet awakened. The night air outside was cool, the stars still trembling faintly. But in Olympus, the first seed of unity had been planted. The council of the divine had spoken, and silence had listened. And in that listening, a new path began to open. The morning after the council was quiet, almost unnaturally so. Zeus walked alone through the gardens of Olympus, lost in thought. The trees swayed gently, yet even their rustling seemed subdued. He felt the crack above weighing upon every living thing. It was not simply a scar in the sky, but a reflection of hearts. The gods had agreed to seek harmony, but action was needed. Zeus knew words alone could not mend what had begun to break. He turned his gaze toward the mortal world far below. Mortals lived unaware of the heavens trembling, yet they felt it. They woke restless, their dreams troubled by nameless unease. Zeus wondered if perhaps they held pieces of the forgotten song. For mortals lived close to the earth, close to rhythm and cycle. Their prayers carried sincerity, their voices raw with truth. Perhaps the shattered heavens whispered through their dreams. Perhaps unity required the voices of both god and mortal alike. Zeus descended from Olympus, quiet as a falling shadow. He walked among villages hidden between fields and rivers. The people greeted him not with fear, but with reverence. They sensed the weight he carried, though he spoke nothing of it. He sat among them, listening to their songs and their stories. Children sang of harvest, of rivers, of stars that guided them. Their melodies were simple, yet carried honesty, unshaken. Zeus closed his eyes, feeling the rhythm in their voices. It was not power that moved him, but the truth in their harmony. The sky above cracked faintly again, as if straining to listen. Mortals looked upward, puzzled, yet not afraid. They whispered prayers to the heavens, gentle and unforced. Zeus understood then that harmony was not built on strength. It was carried in small voices, in unity of heart and spirit. The shattered heavens demanded remembrance of such unity. Zeus rose, placing his hand upon the shoulder of a shepherd. "Your song carries more than joy," he said softly. "It carries the strength of all who share it." The shepherd bowed, unsure of the weight in his words. Yet he smiled, continuing his melody without pause. Zeus left the village with quiet certainty settling in him. The gods could not heal the heavens alone. Mortals too must lift their voices, weaving threads of song, for only together could the sky be whole again. He returned to Olympus, carrying the echoes of mortal songs. The council awaited, their eyes heavy with expectation. Zeus told them not of power, nor of command, but of listening. He spoke of the shepherd's melody, of children's voices. He spoke of prayers rising like threads into the fractured sky. The gods listened in silence, their pride softened by his words. Apollo placed his hand on his lyre once more. This time, a faint note hummed, fragile but present. It was not complete, but it was a beginning. Athena's eyes glowed with thought, her wisdom deepening. Hera folded her arms, but her silence carried agreement. Poseidon leaned back, waves whispering quietly within him. Artemis closed her eyes, listening as though to distant hunts. Demeter breathed slowly, her heart stirred with gentle hope. Even Ares unclenched his fists, finding stillness in the air. The faint crack above glimmered again, softer this time. It did not vanish, but it pulsed with quiet recognition. The heavens had heard the voices of mortals and gods alike, and in that shared moment, harmony began to stir. Zeus spoke only one final sentence to his council. "The sky asks us not for thunder, but for song." The words lingered, echoing across Olympus like a vow. And so, the journey toward healing carried its first true note. The days that followed were filled with a quiet kind of work. Zeus asked not for storms, but for songs to be remembered. Each god was given a task, not of power, but of harmony. Apollo wandered to valleys, teaching mortals the art of melody. His lyre rang softly, blending with shepherd flutes and village choirs. Athena walked among scholars, urging wisdom to guide their voices. She whispered of patience, of truth, carried in simple words. Demeter lingered in fields, where workers sang as they sowed. She taught them rhythms of planting, of balance with the soil. Artemis roamed forests, listening to hunters call with reverence. She reminded them that every voice, beast or bird, had place. Poseidon calmed the seas, teaching sailors to chant as one. Their songs rose like waves, steady, guiding ships across storms. Even Ares, restless, found purpose in the forging halls. He taught smiths to hammer in rhythm, turning labor into song. Hera, those stern, blessed families who prayed together at dusk. She saw harmony reflected in bonds of love and loyalty. Across the world, voices rose, not in fear, but in unity. The heavens trembled, but the crack glimmered with softer light. Zeus watched from Olympus, his heart both heavy and hopeful. He knew this was only the beginning of restoration. The fracture did not close, but it no longer spread. It seemed to wait, listening to the chorus of gods and mortals. One night, Zeus gathered the council beneath the starlit dome. They listened together as mortal songs drifted upward. Some were clumsy, some pure, yet all carried honesty. Apollo smiled faintly as his lyre answered in harmony. Athena noted the balance, the structure hidden in the sounds. Demeter wept softly, for the earth pulsed with renewed rhythm. Poseidon closed his eyes, waves in sync with the distant chants. Artemis leaned on her bow, hearing wild creatures hum in tune. Even Ares let a rare smile break across his stern face. Zeus raised his hand, not in command, but in reverence. "The sky listens," he said, voice deep and sure. "It waits for us to weave this harmony fully." The gods nodded, no longer bound by silence or doubt. For once, they felt the heavens not above, but within. That night, the crack shimmered with a faint, golden hue. It was as if light itself began stitching broken edges together. But the work was not yet done, not fully. Harmony required persistence, patience, and voices unending. Zeus knew that pride could still fracture the song again. The council must remain vigilant, and mortals steadfast. The shattered heavens were fragile, yet willing to be healed. As dawn broke, the gods stood upon Olympus together. They watched the sky glow with colors deeper than before. Mortals below rose to their tasks, unaware of the change above. Yet they felt lighter, guided, as though dreams had shifted. Zeus breathed deeply, feeling balance return in fragile threads. Not thunder, not lightning, but harmony had begun the mending. And so, the journey pressed onward, with voices leading the way. The shattered heavens no longer wept, but waited for the song. The golden hue of the crack lingered, faint yet promising. Zeus watched it each night, measuring its quiet pulse. The heavens seemed to breathe, as though listening for more. But harmony, once begun, demanded nurturing to endure. The gods continued their tasks, guiding mortals toward song. Villages echoed with melody. Fields swayed to steady rhythm. The seas carried chants. The forests whispered with living hymns. Still, the fracture held, neither growing nor fading. Zeus knew patience was needed, yet doubt lingered. Would the heavens ever fully heal, or remain scarred forever? He climbed again to the highest peak of Olympus. There, he gazed into the trembling sky with silent resolve. Athena joined him, her wisdom sharp, her presence calm. "Scars are not always weakness," she told him gently. "They remind us of what was broken and what was mended." Zeus pondered her words, heavy with truth. The shattered heavens might never be seamless again, but perhaps they could become stronger, forged through unity. Apollo approached, his lyre glowing faintly in starlight. "I hear a melody returning," he said with quiet pride. "It is not perfect, but it is alive." Zeus listened, and indeed faint notes echoed through the air. They were woven from mortal voices, guided by divine song. It was fragile, yet undeniable. A chorus, born of many. The crack shimmered, resonating faintly with the music. Hera soon arrived, her gaze steady and knowing. "You see," she said softly, "promises remembered, not forgotten." Zeus nodded, feeling gratitude stir within him. He had long carried the burden of balance alone, but now he saw it was never his alone to bear. Harmony belonged to all who lived beneath the heaven. Demeter appeared with a garland of grain in her hands. "The earth answers," she said. "The soil is steady again." Artemis stepped from shadow, her bow resting lightly. "The wild returns to rhythm," she whispered. Poseidon's voice rumbled like a calm tide. "The seas sing once more. They answer the stars." Even Ares, uneasy in stillness, admitted a shift. The forge is alive with rhythm. Even battle has its song. The council stood together, gazing at the fractured sky. For the first time, no words of doubt passed between them. Instead, they stood in reverent silence, listening. The melody of mortals and gods twined above them. It was not thunder, nor power, but harmony. The crack glowed brighter, not closing, but transforming. Its edges softened, weaving with threads of light. Zeus felt awe rather than command stir within him. The shattered heavens were not being erased, but renewed. A tapestry of memory, woven with song and promise. He raised his hand, palm open to the trembling sky. "The heavens do not ask us to forget," he declared. "They ask us to remember and to sing." The words carried into the night, across Olympus and beyond. Mortals in villages stirred in their sleep, dreaming of stars. Children hummed softly, unaware of the source of their comfort. The gods felt lighter, as though burdens slipped from their shoulders. The heavens, though cracked, no longer seemed fragile. They seemed alive, carrying the strength of unity within. Zeus lowered his hand, his heart calm and certain. The shattered heavens had become a symbol, not a wound. And the journey of song, once begun, would never end. The nights grew softer, the stars brighter above Olympus. Mortals sang more freely, their voices stitched into the sky. The crack no longer frightened them. It had become a beacon. Zeus listened often, no longer as a ruler, but as a guardian. He felt the balance shift, fragile but steady in its rhythm. The gods continued their watch, each tending their domains. Apollo refined songs, guiding bards to carry memory through melody. Athena urged patience in counsels, wisdom shaping mortal choices. Demeter blessed the harvests, fields glowing with quiet gratitude. Poseidon steadied the seas, letting sailors sing of courage. Artemis wandered forests, where hunters sang to honor the wild. Ares taught warriors that rhythm could guide discipline, not fury. Even Hera, stern, blessed homes with hymns of unity. Together, their harmony wove threads across heaven and earth. One night, the sky stirred with a strange glow. The crack shimmered, not in gold, but in silver light. It pulsed gently, as though it sought to speak. Zeus raised his gaze, heart steady, listening with reverence. The council gathered, watching the heavens shift above them. Apollo's lyre rang faintly, strings vibrating without his touch. "The sky sings back," he whispered, awe in his voice. Mortals, too, heard echoes in their dreams that night. Children awoke, humming melodies they had never learned. Farmers paused in fields, feeling rhythm beneath their feet. Sailors at sea swore the waves hummed in tune. The shattered heavens had become a living chorus, No longer broken, no longer silent, but alive. Zeus felt tears press against his eyes, rare and unbidden. He had feared the heavens were dying, but they were reborn. The crack was no wound. It was a scar turned to light, a reminder, a promise, a bridge between God and mortal. Athena spoke softly, her voice steady and wise. This is no end, but the beginning of a greater bond. Apollo nodded, his lyre glowing brighter in the night. We must answer the heavens as they answer us. And so, they sang, gods and mortals together in harmony. Their voices rose not as command, but as devotion. The crack pulsed, silver threads weaving deeper into the sky. Stars aligned, shimmering brighter than ever before. Zeus lifted his hand, not to summon thunder, but to join. His voice, deep as the mountains, entered the chorus. The heavens shook, not in fear, but in joy. Mortals below felt warmth descend like soft rain. They looked upward, hands raised, hearts steady. The shattered heavens no longer felt distant, but near. Every song, every prayer, every voice was heard. Zeus lowered his hand, his heart calm, unburdened. He realized the heavens had never truly broken. They had simply waited for unity, for harmony to return. The crack remained, silver and glowing, yet beautiful. It was no weakness, but strength, carved by memory. The gods stood together, no longer divided by silence. Mortals thrived below, guided by unseen threads of song, and in the stillness of night, the heavens whispered back, not in thunder nor command, but in melody eternal. Zeus smiled, knowing balance had become more than power. It was harmony, living, breathing, unending. The shattered heavens had become whole, not by closing, but by singing forever, with voices joined as one. The final dawn rose brighter than any before it. The shattered heavens shimmered, silver threads glowing with warmth. Mortals woke to skies alive, with music and light. No longer fractured, the heavens now breathed in harmony. Zeus stood upon Olympus, his heart still and steady. He had carried storms, but now he carried silence. Not silence of emptiness, but of peace fulfilled. The council gathered, their faces calm, their spirits lifted. Each god had played a part, weaving song into balance. Apollo strummed his lyre, a gentle hymn of gratitude. Athena spoke wisdom, her voice steady and sure. Demeter smiled, her hands holding seeds of promise. Poseidon's eyes gleamed, tides steady in his heart. Artemis lifted her bow, listening to the forest hum. Ares stood firm, no longer restless, but composed. Hera's gaze softened, her blessing a quiet bond of love. Together, they looked upon the sky, transformed. The crack remained, but it was no scar. It was a river of light, flowing across the heavens. A reminder of fragility, yet proof of resilience. Mortals sang below, their voices rising in unison. No one commanded them, yet all were part of the chorus. Villages echoed, seas answered, mountains carried the refrain. The heavens pulsed brighter with every note sung. Zeus lifted his gaze, his heart light at last. He understood now what balance truly meant. Not control, not dominance, but harmony among all. The shattered heavens had taught him humility. They had taught gods to listen, not just to rule. And they had shown mortals that their voices mattered. The sky no longer belonged to Zeus alone. It belonged to every song, every prayer, every heart. The crack of light stretched, weaving among constellations. Stars danced brighter, arranged in patterns unseen before. The heavens were no longer distant, but alive. Zeus closed his eyes, listening as the melody grew. It carried laughter, sorrow, dreams, and hope. Every voice became part of something greater, a song that had no end, no boundary. Ares chuckled softly, rare warmth in his tone. Even battle could never match this strength, he admitted. Apollo smiled, his fingers brushing his glowing strings. This song will outlive us all, he whispered. Athena nodded, her wisdom sharpened by wonder. Because it is not ours alone, it belongs to the world. Zeus opened his eyes, silver light reflecting in them. For the first time, He felt no weight upon his shoulders. The burden of thunder was gone, replaced by harmony. He raised his hand, not to summon storms, but to bless the world with balance eternal. The heavens are whole, he declared, voice soft but strong, not because they closed, but because they sing. The gods bowed their heads, reverence in their silence. Below, mortals felt the words ripple through their hearts. Children pointed at the glowing sky with joy. Elders wept softly, feeling promises renewed. The shattered heavens were no longer broken. They were alive, eternal, and shared by all. And so, the story of storms gave way to song. The end was not silence, but harmony unending. Zeus smiled as the dawn spread across the world, for the heavens had not been shattered after all. They had only been waiting for every voice to rise.